Hello everyone. I'm going to begin by telling you something about my research, and then I'll explain how I conceptualize the different kinds of research projects that students have done with me in the past. This will help you to decide whether your proposed study is something that I could support you with. However, if you have an idea and are not sure whether our interests coincide, then do please get in touch. For some time now, I have been working with Nicola Kemp, who is based in the Sustainability Office. In 2018, we published this paper about school leaders' reasons for introducing forest school. We conducted in-depth interviews with head teachers and in one case a pair of deputy head teachers, and we framed our analysis using Biester's model of educational purpose, which I think you are familiar with. We are now working on this paper, which we have not yet submitted, although it is being written with a particular journal in mind. We describe our methodology in the paper as a multi-sited ethnography conducted in 3 schools. We spent 4 whole days in each school, interviewing, observing, and looking at documents. The schools were chosen because in different ways they all had shown a strong commitment to education for sustainability. Finally, this is a short article that will appear in Primary Geography in March next year. In September, I presented a paper on this project at the TEASNet conference, which this year was held online. Primary Geography is not a peer-reviewed journal, but it does provide the opportunity to communicate with an audience of primary teachers. I do, however, have plans to publish something more substantial about this project sometime in the future. I will say a little bit more about the project at the end of this presentation. Just as all teaching should be underpinned by a clear sense of purpose, so should research. Hence, all my research begins with the following overarching question. How can the institution of schooling be transformed so that it can play its part in supporting the transition of society to a more sustainable future? This is fundamentally a positive way of posing the question, since, in the view of many, including me, schooling in its current form is more a part of the problem than it is a potential solution. I would be happy to elaborate on this if anyone is interested. The general point, however, is simply that research informs innovation. Innovation should be aimed at addressing genuine problems, and genuine problems in education can only be identified with respect to the clear articulation of educational purpose. This applies to your research as much as it does to mine. Learning across and outside the curriculum. This is a title I have used for my research options since I arrived at Christchurch almost 10 years ago. I inherited the title from a pair of former colleagues who taught the module. I like it and have kept it, mainly because it is ambiguous and opens up a range of possibilities. First, there's the obvious reference to cross-curricular teaching and learning. I have supervised many different projects that focus on the curriculum. It might be something to do with cross-curricular teaching, but another favorite is to look at a particular subject and to consider how it might be enhanced by being taught outdoors. Indeed, LAOC is often interpreted as being about learning outdoors. I'm very interested in what is referred to as learning in natural environments, LION. Under this heading, I include grow your own projects, forest school, and grounds development. These are all areas where a great deal of interest has been shown by students in the past. But outside can also be read as outside the curriculum or beyond the curriculum. This opens up possibilities to look at informal and non-formal learning. Non-formal refers to organized but non-compulsory forms of learning such as extracurricular activities at school or clubs that meet elsewhere. A few years ago, I had a student, for example, who conducted an excellent piece of research focusing on the chess club that he established in his placement school. Informal learning is the learning that happens in everyday life, including the learning that occurs at home. This points to home-school relations and the community context in which the school finds itself. Some students have done projects that focus on aspects of this relationship. For example, in the context of an after-school cooking club, one student was able to interview parents about their children's experience of cooking at home. Several others have looked at homework, how it is managed, the role of parents, and how it is experienced by children. This year, I have decided also to offer design and technology as an area that you could focus on for your research. I am most interested in thinking about the potential of the subject to build resilience in children. You will understand what I mean if you view my introductory presentation to the subject, which is on Blackboard. One obvious link here is via the food and nutrition component of the national curriculum subject to the kinds of grow your own projects that I've already mentioned. More generally, if you are interested in the subject, the most obvious way of conducting research is to carry out an in-depth evaluation of a DMA, a design and make assignment. There's plenty of scope here for you to be innovative. Over the years, I've had a number of students who have been interested in the potential health and well-being benefits of outdoor learning. It is not uncommon, for example, for schools to set up forest school initiatives because of the perceived benefits that such initiatives might offer to specific groups of children. I have also had students with an interest in SEN who have looked at the curriculum. In one example, a question was asked about whether cross-curricular approaches are less accessible than discrete subject teaching is to children with specific needs. Finally, going back to my previous slide, if you are even vaguely interested in any of the following, then I'm confident that I can support you. Climate change education, global citizenship education, and education for sustainability. Obviously, the three areas overlap. This is the SDG Tower. It is a learning resource that I've designed to teach primary school children about the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, which, by the way, you should all know something about. The toy, or you could call it a 3D puzzle, is based on this wedding cake model, a critique of the SDGs that was produced by the Stockholm Resilience Center. My wooden toy comprises 17 unique interlocking pieces, and in future, instead of stickers, the numbers and letters will be laser etched. I am showing you this because I want to make a point about how you could carry out your research with me if you wanted to. My plan is to trial this resource in schools. And if you are interested, you could do this in your school under my guidance. You would, like everyone else, report on the research in your assignment, drawing on the evidence that you obtain in your school. However, if I then go on to use the evidence, which is something that I might want to do, you'll be listed as a co-author in anything that gets published. I give the SDG Tower as an example, since there might be other areas of research that some of you would like to work on in a similar way. For example, in the area of climate change education. Again, these would be joint research projects, and I would provide direction. Of course, there's no obligation for anyone to take me up on this offer. My expectation is that most of you will want to conduct your own individual pieces of research. I hope that you've gained sufficient understanding of what the possibilities are from the previous slide. In this presentation, I've said very little about methodology. To be brief, you should think of your research project as small scale and qualitative. Under this umbrella definition, there are different approaches that I will introduce you to depending on your particular research focus and question. I hope you have found this presentation useful, and thank you for listening.